Hello everyone, this is Gordy. I'm here at Fintech Disruption Summit in Copenhagen, and I just met with my old friend Lasse BIRK OLESEN, who I've also been in the radio with once or twice. And Lasse is the new head of integrations at Makerdao. And congratulations with the job, Lasse.
Thank you.
Thank you. How is it working in Makerdao? How has your start been there?
It's been really, really exciting. I've been really impressed with the people in the organization. I must say there's just so many really, really smart and dedicated people. And one interesting fact is that, well, Maker started as this open source community of people from all over the world, right? And in the beginning, no one were paid. They were just contributing to the project out of their own free will because they just really liked the project. But then many of these people were then later hired. But the story just shows that most of them really are there for their own passion.
Yeah, definitely. And now I know you have some new interesting developments coming up with the Makerdao that we were talking about. What's the next big thing that's coming, the thing that you're working on right now?
Yeah, so the thing the whole organization is focused on is the launch of multi-collateral DAI later this year. So in the current version that is running, which is our test version, only Ether can be deposited as collateral against which you can draw a loan in stable coin. But later this year, we will launch the multi-collateral version where you can deposit any kind of blockchain token that our risk governance community decides is secure enough for our system. So we want to be at a place where you can deposit your stocks in our system, your bonds, your gold tokens, even the deed on your house, and then you can draw a loan against it in our DAI stablecoin.
That's interesting. So you're actually also moving outside of the crypto world and looking at other assets that you can deposit into the system.
Yeah, so one of the most important things for us is to be able to scale to a really large level, right? And it's just a fact that most financial assets in the world are still, traditional, sometimes physical assets. The blockchain economy is still quite small. So we are expecting this wave of tokenization to happen across any type of financial asset, and there are a lot of great companies out there working on tokenizing financial assets, and when they do so, they will be able to go into our system as collateral.
That's interesting. Are you looking at any specific companies for partnerships to do the tokenization of the assets?
Yeah, we're partnering with many different companies. Also in the tokenization space, there's both companies in the US, in Europe, and in Denmark. I'm not personally sure which of these are official yet and which are still not official yet. So
can we get a breaking news here?
Yeah, so I'm afraid I cannot say any names.
Okay, interesting. And so that's what you're going to work on now for the next time with Makerdao. That's really interesting. All in all, where do you see the whole blockchain or the crypto asset world moving in the next 5 years? What kind of direction can you see? Because I know you've been involved for a long time. First of all with Coinify, and now you would Makerdao, two big organizations. Where do you see the space moving, the whole crypto space, let's say the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess in broad strokes, I think it's going to attack or adopt or consume the biggest financial markets.
Yeah.
So there is, you might know Mark Andreessen from Andreessen Horowitz. They also invested in Maker, but he has this thesis about software is eating the world. We've seen software eat communication and media with blogs and YouTube and so on. We've seen software beginning to eat education with Khan Academy and online universities and so on. And what I think we will see is that blockchain will eat finance. And that might sound a little dangerous, but it's just meant that blockchain will be adopted. It doesn't mean that all the current players will not be there, but I think a lot of them will adopt blockchain technology, and blockchain will become the underpinnings of the global financial system. And just the debt market. The debt market is the biggest financial market in the world, $200 trillion. It hasn't really been possible for blockchain to consume debt before, because when you have a volatile currency, you don't want to take a loan in it. But now that we have a stable coin, it makes sense that blockchain can now actually consume the biggest financial market in the world.
Definitely, and now you have the DAI stablecoin, and it's backed up by Ethereum as collateral. Now maybe other assets as collateral, multi-collateral you're working on now. How do you see? Because I've been talking with some maximalists also about stablecoins and all this stuff. In my perspective, I see like okay, stablecoins are essential right now because the world is not having Bitcoin as the go-to denominator. So for me, it's always been like, okay, we need stablecoin until somebody else becomes the go-to denominator. If Bitcoin becomes the go-to denominator, you will not need stablecoins in US dollars or whatever. How do you see this aspect of it? Do you think that Bitcoin will become the global denominator at some point, or how do you see it?
I think we might be able to make a comparison with gold. So gold has very good long-term stability. Like if you look back 50 or 100 years, then gold is more stable than the dollar, for instance. But the short-term volatility of gold is not very good, actually. Okay. And so that's why I think we will still need stable coins besides something like Bitcoin, because I think we can compare Bitcoin to gold in many ways. I think we will still need something that has better short-term volatility. And one of the things that we probably will be doing in Maker is create a coin that is stable, not relative to a government currency, but eventually to a consumer price index.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, so that means, and we will do that besides all the government stable coins that we want to do, stable to relative to dollar and euro and so on. But we will also have this one which people can use. And that will potentially be the most stable thing in the world.
That would be because if you have the consumer price index, it can be like based on how much it costs for one guy to eat or to buy a chicken based on his income, every part of the world.
Yes.
That's really smart.
And there's multiple ways of doing this, right? It might be a worldwide consumer price index, but there can also be regional differences in consumer prices. So it could also be regional tokens where it hits the consumer price index of Denmark, for instance.
That's interesting. I had something like that in my brain for some time, but you know, that's so interesting. That would be the most efficient way of having trade and everything in the whole world, you know, and salaries and everything. Okay, Lasse, thank you for taking the time and introducing this great idea. Now we're having Lasse joined Makerdao recently. He's doing a great job, I can understand. And now you have multi-collateral coming out soon. In a little bit longer perspective, maybe we have something correlated to price. What did you call it?
Consumer price index.
Consumer price index. That's going to be really interesting if they do that. But thank you for taking the time, Lasse, and nice to see you again.
Yeah, thank you too.